Hey, everybody, and welcome to another week of Crunching Your Growth, the show where we talk with founders, entrepreneurs, and business leaders about what it really takes to build, grow, and scale a successful company. And today's guest took an intimate experience she started in her garage and transformed it into a nationally recognized jewelry brand with more than 25 million in sales. Sarah Sides is the founder and CEO of Loveweld, an Austin-born brand that helped pioneer the permanent jewelry experience. And what began in 2020 with Sarah welding bracelets into a few close friends, or fork onto a few close friends, has grown into studios across the country and a business built around connection, celebration, and personal storytelling. So Sarah believes jewelry should do more than look beautiful. It should represent the moments, relationships, and experiences that shape our lives. So today, we're going to talk about how she created Loveweld, how she created the Loveweld experience, built a new kind of retail business, scaled the brand nationally, and kept the meaning and human connection at the center of its growth. But before we get into that, I have something exciting to share with you, because I know there's a whole bunch of talk about AI and what AI can do for you and your businesses. And we get a lot of businesses out here that are small to medium size. And we created something, and you can think about it this way. It's an agency of agents that will help you run your marketing and your business. So I just have a quick video to show you. You'll get it. You'll understand it. You can go to the website. You can sign up for a free trial. You can even sign up for a meeting about where we'll show you exactly how it works. But it's really, really neat. We've been using it in our agency for about 2 years. That's how it started. We built it for ourselves, and it really helps people. So take a look and see what you think.
It's late, and you're still running your own marketing all by yourself. Strategist, writer, designer, analyst, all of it falls on you. There's a better way. This is Trellios, your AI marketing team. Setup takes minutes. Just tell it who you are and drop in your website. Trellios instantly studies your site, your market, and your competitors. Then it builds your strategy, a full SWOT, your strengths, gaps, and biggest opportunities laid out. From that, it recommends a custom 90-day quick wins campaign, the exact moves to grow built around your SWOT. You stay in control, review it, and approve the brief with a single click. Then your AI team gets to work. A chief marketing officer directs a full roster of specialists, one for every job. They produce weeks of on-brand content, written, scheduled, and ready to publish. And a live dashboard shows you exactly what's working, in real time. Your marketing finally runs itself, so you can breathe. Trellios, your AI marketing team. Start your free trial today.
So yeah, it's pretty cool. We've been using it for ourselves. We do it to run social, run ads, etc. We've been working on it for about 2 years. This is not a vibe-coded AI slop. This is real software. It's real code. It's deployable. So anyway, any interest, go to Trellios.ai and you'll love it. Now, getting back to Sarah, let's bring her in and let's hear her story. Sarah, thank you for taking the time to come on. Looking forward to hearing the story. It's a great story. It's a great brand. It's a great product. So thank you.
Thank you, Phil, for inviting me and having me on today.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure. Why don't you sort of take us back a little bit give us a little flavor of your history, what you've done in the past, what type of work you've done, and then how you got to Loveweld and that whole piece.
Yeah. So my entire career has been in jewelry. So I graduated from the University of Texas actually with an English degree, and with after that, I knew I didn't want to be a teacher. I did have a little bit of that entrepreneurial itch, and so I started my first jewelry brand here in Austin, Texas. And then from there, learned I was not a maker. I actually get quite cerebral about all the different parts of the business. And so when I had the opportunity to go in design for another company, I took the leap.
Yeah.
And from there became the head of design and development for a global fair trade jewelry company that sold in the US. And so my job went from maker to designer and strategist. And so I traveled all over the country, visiting master craftsmen that were in the jewelry industry, and learned the different reasons cultures created jewelry, wore jewelry, and craftsmanship in general. And so from Vietnam to Guatemala, kind of in Africa. So that was sort of my first big girl job, and did that for 7 years. And it was in that time, I was not looking to start a business, but in trend research, and actually the time was not great. My husband was getting his MBA and in a night school at UT, and then working full time managing clinics. And also, we had a baby and a toddler, and then I was working my full-time job, so it wasn't the sort of stage for starting a business. And I'm actually a third generation entrepreneur, so it's not something I went hunting for either, because
Right.
I'm quite aware of what it means to call the calls and take on all the stakes yourself. So
Sure.
I was quite content until I came across what was the early inklings of permanent jewelry. So when Loveweld started, permanent jewelry was not a sector in the jewelry industry. It actually wasn't a coined term. There was no, this is how it's done. I actually came across the early parts of it. There were tastemakers in LA. There was this makers movement that was really big in the US at that time. And so you had all these amazing artists that were popping up in brick and mortar all over the US that actually like hung out in this one market that
Hmm.
was every year. And people would come from all over the US to see this market and see what they were up to. And there's beautiful jewelry and artistry, but what I noticed is they were all wearing simple bangles. And I'm like, why? I don't understand. Like, there's not a lot of design to it. For a lot of them had been wearing it obviously for a time, and so they were beat up and not the most pristine. So it just wasn't making sense as I was trying to gauge the trend.
Uh-huh.
And so I finally asked one of the creatives, why, tell me about this bangle. And there was an artist in LA that was blowtorching them on, soldering them
Oof.
on. She would wrap their wrists in a fire cloth and then get a flame and solder it on, and it was permanent, right?
Yeah.
And so for them it was the ritual, it was the connection to their community, and a bit of a thrill.
Hmm.
So I noted it. That's not what made me take the leap to start a brand, but it was there, locked in, and I found it to be interesting.
Sure.
And so from there, came across a fine jewelry store in Paris doing a similar concept, different technology. It was a laser welder versus a solder. So it's a little bit more modern technology, still a little dangerous, but it's more what we see today in permanent jewelry. And it was chains. And it was an aside to their broader business. And so when I started digging, I found a place in New York City that was doing it similar. It was a broader jewelry store. They were very big at e-com. They were an e-com fine jewelry company. And so brick and mortar was not their focus. And it was an afterthought for them. And for me, I just became obsessed. And I was just like, how does this work? Where else is it? And I couldn't find it anywhere else. And for me, it was just this an obsession. And to me, it needed to be its own thing. Like there needed to be a company that was built around this whole concept. And there just seemed to be a lot of magic around that. So obsession is what drove me into starting a business. So I bought the technology in 2019 and talked to the suppliers. And I was like, how do you do this? And they're like, we don't know. These are usually used for the arc welder that we use at Loveweld is used for dental work or for repair in jewelry. So it's not usually a front facing. That was not the intent in which it was designed.
Sure.
And so it was a lot of trial and error. And Loveweld was born from just chasing that obsession.
So when you started it, you started in a retail store.
Nope. When I started in my garage studio. So But yes, it's always been in person. It's always been an in-person experience. I guess, is that what you're
But you started
saying?
in a garage
I started in a garage. Yeah. So
and
I
people
have
were
a
coming,
design
you were
studio.
advertising and people would come to your garage?
So in the early days, it was friends and family, or friends of friends, right? Like word of mouth would get out, and so it
Sure.
was sort of an intimate, more intimate, sort of personal experience in that way.
Yeah.
My first ever like presenting it to the world as like this is something that I'm doing. I actually invited some close friends over for a Galentine's party to hang out in my garage. I branded invitations and sent them invitations, and so in a way it was sort of my grand opening, right? And I invited them over and gave the service. I learned you can't really like drink champagne and weld at the same time, and all their bracelets fell off.
Not on
So
somebody's body, no.
no, no. So it was a good time, but there was Phil. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Yaya Sisterhood.
I
It
did,
was
yeah.
something that I grew up watching on repeat, and essentially it's the arc of three or four best friends as they grow up, and they have a moment when they're young doing a ritual, like a blood ritual, like we're best friends, we're bound for life. And then as they grew up, they did another introducing the young daughter, right? And it just was a yaya sisterhood moment is what I call it. It felt magic. It was a ritual of like friendship bracelets, but now it's in 14K. It's luxe. We enjoy it as grown women. It's no longer the threads of our childhood or the braided bracelets of our childhood. And it was like we all kind of looked at each other and were like, this is really cool. And actually, one of the gals that was at that event is now my brand director, and she's helped me build the brand. So that's how it started.
So you all got bracelets welded to you that are
Yes.
permanent.
Yes. I mean, in theory, theirs fell off because I partook in the alcoholic beverage and was not as exact and precise. But there was a redo. I did redo their bracelets. And then, yes, we all had bracelets that were permanently on us and bound. And so word of mouth flew quickly. Like anytime someone was coming to visit us in Austin, friends, like everybody was just flocking to our garage.
Yeah.
And I ended up deciding, this needs to go beyond just friends and family. Let's go a step further. And ended up popping up in a fine, it was an artist, a painter, and a studio, and did some ads on Meta. And with $15, ended up having like 5 appointments right out the gate. And it just kind of snowballed from there.
But here's my question, because it's a it's a high touch
Yeah,
sale, right?
yeah, it is.
Because not only are you selling jewelry, which is high touch,
Yep.
but then you're selling permanent jewelry, which requires you to
It's a
attach it to a
service.
person,
It's a
right?
service, right?
So how do you scale that?
It's a great question, Phil. How do you scale that? I mean, the early days, the focus was one, creating a market that didn't exist. And so permanent jewelry wasn't even a term when we started. So it's like, how do you even talk about it? How do you even advertise in a way that makes someone want this? So that
Right,
was one. And then how do you scale that, right? How do you scale talking about it? And then, so that's one.
right.
Two, yeah, how do you scale? And especially when there's this is how you do the service, right? Like I did months and months of this is how you don't do the service, like my Yaya Sisterhood story and their bracelets falling off. So there was a lot of this is what it's not. This is not how you apply a bracelet. And so very, very early on, I had actually it was my sisters and my best friend that helped me do the early expansion. My sister is our GM and is very operationally minded. I'm a traditional creative visionary. I love numbers. I live in both left and right brain, but I think in big big terms, and she's very practical and pragmatic. And so we had a lot of organic success. So it's like, how do we expand it? And she was watching me train some people how to do it, and she's like, there's no way. Like, your inventory tracking, you're going to lose. You're selling gold and you're wanting to no longer be the one applying the service. That's one. So we had to we worked with a Shopify app. We got in contact with the developer, and we had him. It was an app that was traditionally used for bakers and candlestick makers, and not butchers though. And it was ingredients to make a bigger piece, because we're creating a custom product for each person that sits in front of us. So we're actually selling a huge number of SKUs, and we're wanting to track every little bit of it because it's 14 karat solid gold. So Hannah worked with this developer. Hannah's my sister, who did the operations and has done the operations for the company. She worked with them on the app to really track our inventory very quickly to the millimeter, and created systems for us to be able to do that. So that was one. Two was being able to expand the service beyond myself or the people that I was teaching personally, right? So we developed a course and curriculum for the process and procedures so that people could come onto the team and apply the bracelets, necklaces, anklets, the jewelry pieces to our customers. So those were two very, very important and key things for us to figure out early, and that's what we really focused on early on, as well as the marketing piece.
But then, are you still in the garage at this point?
No. So the garage was short-lived. As soon as it was like, ooh, I can't have people coming to my house getting gold, buying gold,
Sure.
with babies and children, and so we quickly moved out of the garage. I went to the artist's friend. They had a space. They let me do things by appointment. But then it became quickly like, no, we need beyond by appointment. We need store hours. And so I actually signed a short-term lease in sort of it's called the Canopy in Austin. People in Austin have likely heard of it. It's on the east side. It's a bunch of artists. And so that allowed me to get in front of the public in a way that was more formal and official. So that was our first studio, and that was the early, what would be our concept that ended up being national, was that right there. And so that plus pop-ups, I would just hang out in any boutique that would have me, or CBD shop. It didn't matter. I welded in salons. And so I just kind of obsessed over getting it in front of different audiences and clients, and to see how people would interact in what would need to happen for this to be something that was scalable or really resonated with a large amount of people. And so that was, so in the time where I trained in those operations, we were in a brick and mortar 4 walls that was ours. But that happened within a year.
But then, how do you scale it? How do you scale it out of one location? Because again, high touch, and you're building permanent jewelry. So how do you expand it to without? I mean, you'd have to open up retail stores everywhere, right?
No, not necessarily. And so the way we did it is people, right? So the way we expanded was people. So my sister-in-law, who helped us expand, lived in North Texas, and she was a teacher at the time, was seeing the revenue that we were driving, and seeing what, it's a fun job. It's retail, it's beautiful things, but it's also interacting with clients, and that's an exciting thing, and it's fun to do the work, and there's a lot of creativity to it as well. So it's like old school retail, right? When you're a cobbler or tailor, it's with your hands. It's not just taking a product off the shelf and checking it out at the register. And so I had people very early on wanting to do the work and excited about the work and felt fulfilled by the work. And so my sister-in-law was in North Texas, so she took it to the Dallas area. My sister who did the operations, Hannah, she lived in Denver and was managing retail shops in Denver. So she came in with a retail background and was able to establish a lot of best practices and rule books and things like that. So procedures were really important to us early on. So she did that in Denver. And then Albuquerque was our next one. And those all followed people who there was a high level of trust and mutual bought in to this business. And then that allowed us to do a lot of adaptation so that then we could to prepare us for what would be even more growth in the coming years.
But all those people, Denver, Albuquerque, North Texas, had to get a site and they had to buy inventory.
No, it was all centered. So it's not a franchise. It's it's all I bought the inventory. I created the site. I did all of the sort of brand piece, and that's where my strength is and so
But
it was
but if
all one brand.
but if somebody's in Albuquerque
Uh-huh.
and they want this,
Yeah.
how do they get it?
Meaning, like, how do they find us online or how do they find us in the store? Is that your question?
Well, how do they get the product? And then how do they get it welded to them?
Yeah, so we have a site, one central site that is Loveweld, right? And you go to that, and in that it shows all the various store locations where we exist and we live. So if someone's familiar with the Loveweld brand, that could be a way that they come and find us. Or where in the early days we were not in prime real estate markets, so a lot of it truly was people learning about us and seeking us out.
Okay, so if I'm in
Go ahead.
Denver, if I'm
Yes.
in Denver and I go to the Loveweld site
Yes.
and I say, oh, there's a location in Denver,
Yes.
what do I do?
There is a landing page for that location. And with it, there is appointment booking for that location. And you could book an appointment. You also can walk in, but it has all the information of that singular location. Is
Okay,
that kind of answering what
so
you're
I go
wondering?
in, okay, so I make an appointment,
Yes.
but then where is the jewelry that I'm going to get welded?
So early on, so in the early expansion, yes, you do have to have a physical place where it exists. And so in Denver, we actually started in a co-working space and just had a booth there. And so they would go, the landing page had the address. They would come and meet us, either book an appointment or walk in. Appointments were really important in the early days because we didn't have the traditional four wall retail, just like walk in. So Denver was in a co-working space. North Texas was in a boutique. And then Albuquerque was in a boutique. So we were a kiosk, a shop in shop.
Okay, so if I look at the Lovewell site, there's all different products on there. Okay, so each Denver, Albuquerque, North Texas, they have to have inventory of those products in order
Correct.
to do the job.
Correct.
Okay, so you have locations where you have inventory and people.
Yes.
Okay, so now how do you expand it beyond that? Because all those people are part of really essentially your family and friends.
That's correct. And that's definitely like the biggest barrier to growth initially, right? Is how do you get a company from a place that's operating out of trust of relationship, right, into something that has checks and balances and procedures that go beyond that relationship. And from you might go into a city and have no prior relations to someone that you hire and employ, right? And so On the inventory part, very early on, and this is because of how my mind worked from my prior role, is standardizing product and the experience and how it looked and felt across the different locations was very important. And so our product offering was really small to begin and focus so that I could stock it at any location. So when you go to the site and you see the chains and you see the collections and you see that branding, that needed to be reflected at all the locations. So that was one piece of it, right? Like to scale and for it to be cohesive, in the ad campaigns to be cohesive, there needed to be a central brand and there needed to be a central product line that was being sourced and priced the same at all locations. Yes? So that was one piece. The other was inventory tracking, right? So that's that could be potentially a really place for big loss for a company. So
Sure.
inventory controls, inventory turn, how we bought, all of that. We were doing that even as sisters, right? Like we were practicing and developing those controls, poking holes at those controls. And then we would test. We expanded primarily. This wasn't every single expansion we did, but the majority was a kiosk first, right? So a shop in shop, which is a very, it's dipping your toe into a new market. You're not signing a long-term lease. A lot of those were 6 month to a year agreements or deals that brought us into those spaces. And we operated our own POS within those spaces because inventory tracking was key to what we did. And so with that, we doubled from 2021 to 2022. So we went from 4 to 8 locations. And that was the big test of seeing, like, can we expand and it go beyond just these relationships. So inventory was a big piece, and then training, like
Well,
standard.
where are the other 4 locations? So
So
you have North Texas, you have Denver, you have Albuquerque,
yep.
and then you have Austin. So the other 4 locations, where are they and who's running those?
Yeah, so one was actually an expansion within Austin. So that was nice, right? Because that one we had our 4 walls, and it was in a artsy kind of up and coming area of Austin, and then we ended up landing a kiosk in prime real estate. And so that was that expansion into Austin. So that was nice, right?
And they
Because
work for you.
uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah. And so there's that piece. And then we expanded into San Antonio. We followed our customer there. And so from there, I actually had a gal who was marketing for Loveweld at the time. She was a new college grad. She was an intern and then came on full time when she graduated. And so we followed her. She knew San Antonio well. She got us some local connections, and she helped build and develop that team. It's only an hour from Austin, so that oversight is quite manageable, right? The other one was an expansion in North Texas, right? So it was only an hour from the other location that we had. So those 3 felt big, but not so big. But also in that same time, we also expanded to New York City. And
Now, how
that
does
was the
that
thing.
work?
Yeah,
Who's
that's a
running that?
great, yeah, yes. And that was hard. We were really fortunate in that we had an amazing retail partner that we partnered with that cared to a similar level of what we cared about in retail. So customer service, professionalism, a certain standard of how we show up. So that was a big piece, in a piece that allowed us to enter into, because it was a kiosk, right? So I didn't have to hire a manager right off the bat. It was part-time team members. One
Who
of
work for you? So
every
they're
so
in a
yeah.
kiosk. inside of another business in New
Mm-hmm.
York City,
Mm-hmm.
but they work for you. You hired them. The inventory is
Correct.
yours.
The
Okay,
POS system. So it's almost like you have this ecosystem that is the retail store, and then we have our little piece that's ours. And essentially, what I was doing was renting 100 square feet. That
gotcha.
was mine, that I managed, I operated. I built in the standards that the retail, like the way I did the role, so our hours of operation, dress code, things like that were done in collaboration with the retail partner, but ultimately they worked for me, were managed by or for the team, and so we actually had a team member go to New York for 3 weeks in the initial start. A core team member went on the ground, and then I would go for a week or two, and we kind of would cycle through. That's how we initially got started. We hired, in that time, it was to hire, train, and build and develop a team. Once again, and this is actually a very common thread through Loveweld, we had friends and connections in New York who at the time were, the idea of Loveweld was exciting to them and they could lend a hand. And so New York started where we didn't know anyone, but then once it started to get off the ground and we had our first initial 2 hires, my next 2 were actually friends of friends or my sister's best friend from college. And so once again, we are able to develop it around people that there was a level of trust.
So then, sooner or later, you run out of
People you
friends.
trust, right?
Yeah. So how do you expand it past there?
With that, I mean, I think it's there
Like,
comes a,
let's say somebody came to you in LA right now and said, I really think we want to do this in LA.
yeah, which we are in LA. Yeah,
Okay,
but
how did you
that's a
do
good
that?
question. Then it becomes there came a point where we also understood retail at some point. Like you're in retail, you're researching it, you're talking about it. I actually, as you're asking, when I was in New York, there was a brand that was fast growing, similar to Loveweld, meaning that they were service oriented. It was in the jewelry industry. You would need to train people and processes and procedures. So there was a couple brands that emerged when Loveweld emerged, and they were both venture backed. And so they were in rapid growth mode. And I remember telling my team, like, gosh, it would just be so nice to know how they did this. And I actually had one of the, not the founding members, she was the first hire by the founding members of one of those companies that was on my radar, cold call me one day. And she did all the hiring for that company. So she did come in as a consultant and helped us hire. This is a third round of expansion. So we had the first, which was with sisters, the second that was venturing out but still closely, but then there was a third, and this third was going into territory or places and spaces where we didn't have those connections, but we had opportunity pulling us in, meaning we had a retail partner that we could get into that market with. And so that consultant came at just the right time, and they had hired and trained the first round of staff for this VC backed company, so they knew how to kind of vet people, they know what to look for. And so she came on as a consultant to help us hire our first managers that had retail experience and kind of go through a more traditional hiring process that a more established national retail brand might go through. Does that make sense?
So your expansion strategy is you have to supply the inventory, the people, and the space. You're building locations.
I am built on the Loveweld side.
Yeah.
Yes, we're building locations.
Okay.
And so we are building a jewelry brand. So that was something early on, Phil, that we assessed whether or not we were a single entity that was single owner and operated, like owned and operated, or franchised. There's the franchise route, or something in between, like the licensing route. We did an assessment with a consultant and some lawyers and sort of put on what each path would feel and look like. My past work was I designed and developed for the other one that was never on the table for me, but would have been a way to expand, was a MLM.
Oh, no, you don't want to do that.
Yeah. and I know franchising is different from that, but there is a role, like in franchising, my role would have shifted from being a creative visionary, building a brand, to serving the franchise owners that were expanding the brand. And for just personal reasons, that did not feel the right path for me and my family. And so we decided to stick to owning a wholly owned brand. That said, in that research and assessment, because there was a need, we're the first movers in this market, we're the first movers in this industry, and building a brand in the way that we were, there are limitations to that. We did actually start the first e-com B2B business for permanent jewelry. And so we took pieces of our operations and training and packaged that up and sold that online to other people wanting to get into the industry.
So you have your own brand
Yes.
with your own stores.
Yes.
You also have a B2B side
Yes.
where
Yes.
you sell people the knowledge of how to do it, the systems of how to do it, and the products of how to do it.
Correct.
So
And that's Permanent Jewelry Solutions.
are they buying the jewelry from you?
They buy jewelry from us. They could get it from other places too. So there's no licensing. There's no, if you buy with us, you have to continue to buy from us on the jewelry side. So yes, we carry the jewelry supply. It's a different product line than Loveweld. There's some similarities in the sort of that it's designed for permanent jewelry versus just like off the shelf product that might not be designed with permanent wear in mind. So we have that, but we also have starter kits and the various technologies. So we actually are dealers of multiple types of welding technologies that are used for this. And each technology kind of has a different purpose, a different customer that we recommend depending on what scale, how high end they're going into the service. And so, yes, we took some of our playbook and we put it on Permanent Jewelry Solutions. A big part of what we offer is e-com training for how to apply permanent jewelry.
Gotcha. So you really have two different paths to growth. One
Correct.
is you can build your own places, your own inventory, your own people, and you can also sell to people who also want to do this. So if somebody in Iowa decides they want to do it, they can buy everything from you, set up a little store within a store in Iowa, and be in the permanent jewelry business.
Correct.
But they
Correct.
just can't do it under Loveweld. They do it under their own brand.
They do it under their own brand. Yeah.
I got it. That makes sense to me.
Good. Good. It makes sense to me too. I really have enjoyed the freedom of it, and there's a lot that we've put a lot of money to learn and to develop, and so to be able to get people past the painful learning curve that we have had doing permanent jewelry at scale, it It's nice.
Now, what about the insurance requirements for?
We actually had early insurers fire us.
Yeah, I would think. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
would think that there's got to be some safety protocols, like more so than like tattooing or doing piercing. You're
Actually, less because it's not, you don't enter the skin. Like it's all on the surface. The technology is extremely safe. It's kind of this wow, crazy, like, ooh, wow, this is exciting. Like people come in and they're a little scared of the spark, they're scared of the process, but it's completely painless. And we are overly cautious with the protection, but you're not entering the skin, so you're not worried about bodily fluids and all the things that get more medical, right? So it's actually a really great, like, in between. It's an in between half step.
so
Yeah.
people can people get injured when you're doing it? Can they get injured if somebody does it incorrectly? Can somebody get burned?
Yes. Yes. And not, I like, we've never had anyone injured at Loveweld because we use technology that is controlled and the people have been doing the technology for years and years and are experts in it. So we only deal, arc welders is the main technology that's used for permanent jewelry, and we only, on permanent jewelry solutions and at Loveweld, we only either sell or use technology that's at a high standard and that is safe. Now, you could go online, go on Amazon and buy a knockoff machine that is less expensive. And there are lots of stories of people getting burned from those because what breaks is the control for the power of the weld. Those mechanisms break down over time in these lower cost machines. And so you can lose the control of the power that's going to the person, and it can essentially blow up on someone. But that has never happened in permanent jewelry solutions or Lovewell because technology is very important to us and to the dealers that we work with too.
So suppose you set up a new store in San Francisco,
Yeah.
and you hire a new person, and you train them, and they mess up one day and they burn somebody. Is that possible?
No. Not with our technology.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
it's pretty full. But the one thing that could happen is they accidentally poke someone with the electrode, which is almost like a needle point. We apply a leather to block someone, so that's
ah,
the most that could happen. There is a world, and we do have liability waivers, like if a freak accident happened and those controls went down. But after 50,000 plus welds, we have just never seen it.
gotcha. As long as they follow the process, everybody's safe and nobody's going to get burned.
And there's safety. There's safety even instilled within the machines to help control as well.
Right. Right.
We use a German technology is our technology of choice, and those Germans do not mess around.
Yeah. So it's not like a guy that puts the mask on and
It's arc welding. So what's fascinating? So for those who aren't familiar with a micron measurement, centimeters are made of 10 millimeters, and then microns are the measurement that is slightly smaller than a millimeter. We are able to weld with precision to half a micron. So like where we're focusing the power and energy that's melting that metal, it's to the half micron. So it's very powerful, but very, very focused, very precise. It's really fun. The technology piece is something that I really enjoy having learned about and knowing about.
and there's a guard on the skin, so nothing's going to happen. Okay.
If there was something defective, yes, there would be a guard. We just do it's like a leather strip.
Yeah, yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah,
And are people interested in permanent jewelry? I mean, is it that much interest? Because
it is.
I would think that, let's say that, you have that spur of the moment thing. You're a guy, your girlfriend, you take her to the jewelry store, you get permanent jewelry, but then 2 years later they break up and she's like, I don't want this anymore. Is she ripping it off?
Okay, so you want to know one of the early things that really helped us pop off, right? So, like the first years is creating a market, right?
Yeah, yeah.
There was a tipping point though where it went viral. And that's really where things grew for us. That was 2022 to 2023. And
Okay.
this is going back to your question. Are you familiar with the show Love is Blind?
No.
It's a reality TV show that's popular on Netflix, right? And it's one of those. Are you familiar with The Bachelor? Come on, Phil.
I mean, I don't watch any.
Wait, I'm not asking if you watched
Yeah,
it.
I'm familiar with it. Yeah.
If you're okay, so they'll do these like little date sessions, and that's part of the reality TV show. And so there's actually this couple that got permanent jewelry, and it's, these dating shows are so volatile, and like one episode it's this beautiful moment, they're getting welded together, we're gonna be together forever, and then like one episode later she is ripping that thing off, and it's this dramatic, like, instead of the engagement ring being thrown, it's the bracelet being torn. That did so much for my business, Phil, because it was such a like people could relate to
Yeah,
that, right?
sure.
But
Yep.
then it also was like, wait, what is this thing, right? And so, yes, breakups happen. We actually have a buyback to respond to that. We buy back people's initials and stuff, and then give them store credit. So that's my sustainability, reuse, recycle. Like, we're here post breakup. That piece is not going to go to waste. But yeah, no, that we see a lot of breakups, broken friendships. We see that too. We see the good things, but we also see the drama of life. It's really fun.
Yeah. All right. So, well, we're just about out of time. I appreciate you taking the time. So why don't you tell people where they can find you, where they can go, tell them about the sites
Yeah,
and where they can learn more and your social media, etc.
yeah. Love, Love, Weld, WELD.com. Love.weld is our social. You can find us there. We are nationwide, so we have a location in Santa Monica to New York City. We're Austin based, so come see us in our flagship in Austin. We often are used for tourist attractions. So we have a passport program where there's custom charms only at those spots where you go. We now are established mainly in our own four walls. So the kiosks are what helped fund us to what is our own four walls. And it's an amazing place to enjoy a complimentary beverage, enjoy the Yaya sisterhood moment, or the dramatic forever bracelet that hopefully doesn't end in a breakup, but we're here for that. We just really enjoy interacting with our clients, and if you go look at any reviews, it's hospitality is what we do
Right.
with beautiful 14 karat gold pieces.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. Certainly, it's a unique business, and I appreciate you coming on and sharing it. Uh, I think that I was looking forward to the show, and I was thinking, I don't know how you scale this business uh, because it's very focused on people. But now that you've explained it, so but I think it was interesting that you sort of created a category because sometimes people think about creating products, but products are you know anybody can recreate almost a product, but it's very difficult to recreate a category. So I
That's
think
a
it was,
whole nother podcast, Phil. Like
yeah,
it's been so fun. It's been
yeah.
so fun, and there's a lot of stories there.
Oh, I'm sure there is. So, again, I appreciate you coming on, and anybody who wants to go, loveweld.com and love.weld on social. And then what's anybody who's interested in doing it? What was the other site?
Permanent Jewelry Solutions.com. And
Permanent
you'll
Jewelry
and you can
Solutions.
see me there and learn more about the industry there.
So
Yeah.
if you want to be in the business, go there. All right, Sarah, thank you. Thank you for taking the time. And we're out of time, and I will see you guys next week.
Thank you, Phil.